Deal boys and girls, it's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview. We're going to be talking with Bryan Lyttle. He is the owner of AGM, where he helps turn common off-road headaches into simple trail-ready solutions. With decades of racing experience across multiple continents, he knows firsthand the right tools that can make the difference between a quick fix and a long day. Go over to agm-products.com right now. So, Bryan, I got to start with this. I'm originally from Baytown, Texas, and I moved out when I was moved out of my parents' house when I was like 24 or so, and moved into a house that I shared with a friend of mine. And just down the street was a guy whose name was Lyttle. He was a ham radio operator,
and one of us.
And I always remember that name, and it wasn't Little. It was spelled exactly the same way as yours. And I thought that was really cool. And it helped that he had a couple of years younger than us, I believe, a really pretty daughter. So I either remembered him because of the ham radio. Yeah, it's funny how I can remember the girls and the girls' names a lot better than the men.
Little was not the best name for me having. When I was growing up, but
it's better than Skippy or Zippy.
Yeah.
We've already gone down this rabbit hole, so I'll mention that's the first place I ever saw slow scan TV. Because Bob, that's his name, Bob Lyttle. He actually pulled up on his radio, and you could see the images. It's like what we do here now with like Instagram before they started going motion pictures. They were stills, so you could see that over the ham radio, and it was noisy and horrible, but it was all analog.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, slow scan TV. All right. Anyway, so let's start with the tough question. They could get tougher, and I'll warn you. Sometimes I have Jeep Talk Show $1 million ideas, so brace yourself.
I'm ready. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm on here. Is I'm hoping to get some of those ideas from you.
I don't plan them, so we'll have to see how the conversation goes.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one, but it's really not a joke. Anyway, so the thing that gets me is I went over to your site, had a look. Nice site. Looks like really nice products. Yep. The thing that struck me was scissor jack. You sell scissor jacks. Mm-hmm. I have a scissor jack. It's in my Gladiator. It's under the back seat. Why the hell would I want to buy another scissor jack? Right, why are you selling scissor jacks?
Yeah, it's a fair question. And all of the product, we don't just make a product, we try to solve a problem. And the problem here was heavy duty vehicles, your tow rigs, your trailers, overland, and even into Jeeps. We found the stuff that was out there kind of just meets minimum requirements. It's not really something you want to be using a bunch on the trail because they are flimsy, they fall over, they're not really strong. So what we did is approach this from the problem back. Ours are made more robust. We have bigger drives. The jack you were talking about has a planetary gear reduction, so it actually reduces the input torque required. So you can just use a little drill to raise a super heavy vehicle. Mm-hmm. And then that price also isn't just the product. And I know when we don't have things to compare, we always default to price. But you are also getting you're getting customer service that's world class. You're getting a lifetime warranty on the product. You are getting someone that you can call if you're having a problem. So it's easy to fail or fault to price, especially if you're shopping on Amazon, if that's all you know. But that's not really what we're doing. We're kind of creating solutions. And then on top of that, what you're also getting is not only are we trying to provide a product that solves something, but we're also making a bunch of videos for how to use it.
Oh, that's great.
We equip the person with the product, and then we send them with the knowledge so that when they're out on the trail, they can actually solve a problem instead of spending a bunch of money and then just being stuck anyways.
The thing that comes to mind on the scissor jack, and by the way, I think a scissor jack is very important to have, no matter what other off-road jack that you have. I think that there's situations where the other jacks are not going to be they may do the job, but they're not going to be as quick and easy to get in there on a job that you may not need.
What do you like? What is your audience, or what do you recommend carrying? Is there like
high lift?
High lift.
And the red one, because we're red Jeepers here. There's people moaning out there. They're not red Jeepers at all.
And they're great. They're great if you want to do a body lift. If you're trying to get off rocks or you're trying to move away or something. If you're doing a repair or a tire, I found it's a lot more stable to be picking up off the axle or underneath the vehicle because you don't have to lift
Oh
as
yeah.
high. So your center of gravity isn't up. You're not as tilted. You're able to get the job done without being in kind of that compromising position.
Mm-hmm. Well, you
Yeah.
just need to get the axle up high enough to get something underneath it,
Yep. Yeah, if you're stacking rocks.
change
Yeah.
the tire, or maybe get the bead seated again.
Yep.
And you need to get the pressure off of the tire itself. But the thing that gets me is that you can't just have the scissor jack that comes with the Jeep. You have to have a 4x4 or 6x6 block
Yes.
of wood.
There's always something else. When it comes to packaging, right? A lot of times they're like, oh, damn, I forgot a jack. Well, let's make one that fits in that hole. And you end up with this little thing that looks like it should be in a Honda Civic, and it's supposed to lift your rig on like 35s or 37s. It's not gonna happen.
And that's the other thing is it's not designed for a lifted. It's a Jeep. And
Yep.
they know that if as a Jeep owner, you might lift it and put bigger tires on it.
Yep.
I mean, I can't imagine. I think somebody ought to make a funny video. Maybe you guys have, of putting a scissor jack, a stock scissor jack, under a Jeep with that's on 40s. I mean, come
I
on.
think you could put a couple of them under there before you get to where you're touching something.
Yeah, that'd be that good picture of Shaq with his girlfriend. That's about this big. But and I think that's one of the things that I believe that the scissor jack problem is that it's just not long enough. It doesn't extend far enough to do the job that you need to do. And also too, even if it is long enough in the driveway, doesn't mean it's going to be right for off-road.
No, it doesn't. And that's a big thing that we focus on is everything we do. We test before anyone ever sees it, tons of miles, and with lots of different people that help us out. And all that testing happens in the field so that when we're presenting a product or offering it to retail, it's something that's already done all the stuff you just said. We've already been out. We've already tested. We're not just in the driveway and then, hoping and praying that it works for you.
Mm-hmm. Now, and correct me on, because I did research, and, Grok sometimes lies to me, but you didn't just happen upon, oh, you know what? I got an idea for a jack. You actually were out in the racing community.
Yes. So,
finding places where you was like, it'd be neat if we did this. I'm suspecting.
Yep. You're 100% right. And it's funny because listening to your show, everyone generally starts, with a buddy or on a ride or a friend or something small, and you kind of slowly work your way up.
Right.
I just went totally back-assward and came in from the top.
Oh, wow.
Racing. First in buggies and then all the way to trophy truck, did a little bit of rally racing. I did a number of years with Tony Pellegrino in his 4400 truck at King of the Hammers. Mm-hmm. And so we found through doing all that there were a number of things where what existed just didn't get the job done. Right. And I know you've been through this. You have a thing, but it doesn't do the thing you want. And I'll tell you, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing more frustrating than that.
Right.
So we thought, well, heck, we could probably make something that works for this. And in the beginning, it wasn't even intended to be a company. We were just making the stuff for ourselves. And then other racers saw it and they're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Could you make one for me? And then one thing turned to another. And then all of a sudden we realized, oh, crap, we have a product company here. Mm-hmm. So, and now we're here.
This is one of the reasons why I like talking to the owner, the person that started the business, because I think these type of conversations are inspirational for people that, who am I? I can't do that. Yeah, I'm
a dummy. I'll be the first one to say I'm a total dummy. Anyone can do this as long as you don't listen to the people that tell you no. Don't do a whole bunch of research because you don't want to know everything that's involved with starting a company up front. It'll scare you.
Oh, yes.
But I promise you, if you have a good idea, you have a little bit of money or resources, you don't even need a lot. The internet is full of all kinds of things that'll help you. This is like the best time to start a business. Exposure is so easy. Social media is free. And there are more and more people. Why waste life? I think it's amazing. Even though I was just elbow deep in literal yesterday cleaning out a drain, it is the coolest thing in the world to start a company, to provide a product, to have people tell you, you helped me. And then I'm looking outside the window to be able to employ people and provide them with the money to live their lives. So I would suggest it to anyone that's willing to try.
And I've had this conversation with several people, owners of businesses in the past. it's nice to be. I think it was Tyler at Morflate. I said it's nice to have employees, but it's got to be scary when you're making decisions.
It is. It is. And I'm slowly working through my anxieties, but when it was just me, it was like, oh, if I mess up, who cares?
Exactly.
Now it's like, if you mess up, there's like a lot of people here that also feel that. So easy up, partner. Let's like figure this thing out first.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think this is one of the things that keep people from getting into business like this. And also too, I think people have watched too many legal shows on TV. They figure they're going to get sued. Everybody's going to sue me. I don't, they're going to get mad. There's some reason that somebody's going to come back on me because of that. Don't let fear stifle your ability.
I completely agree. I mean, it's just like your podcast. I'm sure you had a ton of people telling you can't do this. And look how far into it you are now.
So on my very first episode, which it was a test episode, people, if you go back and listen to the first one, it was a test episode. I did not talk very loud. People fear me in this house. I would come home and I'd say, I need meat, and they would scatter because I was hungry and I know I needed red meat. So I'm up here and I'm not talking very loud because I didn't want them making fun of me when I got done doing it. Like, who do you think you are? You're trying to sound like a radio DJ and stuff. Well, I got over that by doing it. But it was the same thing. Everybody has fears.
I think it's one of the best parts. And I think it's one of the things that defines you is that strong voice as you're doing this stuff. So I'm glad you got over that.
Yeah, me too. Well, anyway, back to me. No.
Yeah, you notice how I kind of shifted.
Yeah. So the thing that gets me is okay. We were talking about the scissor jack, so let's finish up on that. I mean, we can come back to it at any time. But the scissor jack. So, am I correct in assuming that it's taller than a factory scissor jack? You mentioned the planetary gear. You mentioned the reducing, so it makes it easier to lift heavy weights with it, like with a screwdriver. Or can you use an impact on that, one of those electric impacts?
On the planetary gear reductions, which is 3 sets of gears inside each other, they need or really like continuous load, like a drill would provide.
Sure.
They do not like impact loads.
I wouldn't think so.
Impact loads, because it's moving back and forth. That shock load will wear that gear set, and it basically just shortens the lifespan. So for that one product, we do recommend either hand crank or gear only. But we also have a standard duty, which is a little bit smaller for like UTVs, power sports, kind of some of the crossover cars. There's a lot of Subaru guys going. You can use an impact on that one. And then one of the other problems that we're trying to solve right now, we just finished initial development, and it is a kind of a medium-sized home. That's your pickup trucks. For the guys that are running Jeeps that have impacts, that's them as well. And that one you'll also be able to use an impact gun on. And that's a little bit later this year.
Yeah, because I was thinking impact would probably be bad because of that jarring motion. So I'm glad I asked.
Right.
But I can see a lot of Jeepers out there with taking impacts because they might want to pop the wheel off, and that makes it really simple. I just want to make sure it wasn't one of those situations where you need a drill and an impact. It sounds like the impact might work fine in the Jeep world.
Yeah, for the medium duty one that's going to be coming out a little bit later this year, 100%. The impact is the way to go.
Now, is the medium duty shorter, or has it got the same height as the heavy?
The medium duty, believe it or not, it's actually larger. So with all of these products, we always work backwards from the application and the problem. And so with the HD, the one that has the planetary gear set on it, that one extends to 20.5 inches tall. Oh, no. And we found that was enough height for your F-250s, your Rams, your Sprinter vans, a lot of trailers, enclosed and open trailers. So we try to optimize that height based on the number of applications we see. And then the medium duty, sorry, these names are very basic. They're not super easy to remember sometimes. That one's actually taller because we found the Jeeps and the Broncos and some of the F-150s either have longer travel suspension or they've upgraded to a taller type.
Right. Good. All right. And of course, you can always go to AGM Products, agm-products.com. If you can't remember what he's calling these things, it's all right there. Do you do anything on the website where you make recommendations based on what you're driving?
Yes, we're starting to do that now with all of our products. We've seen that those are some of the biggest questions that we're getting as we start to offer a larger variety of products. So we're making a number of videos for how to use it. And then right now we're actually working on kind of a buyer's guide that will say, hey, if this is your application or you do this kind of stuff, check out this product.
All right, so I'm going to get into the suggestion. I wouldn't call this a Jeep Talk Show Million Dollar Idea. It's really a legitimate question, not meant to be funny. One of the things that always frustrated me, a nice, oh crap, I forgot the name. The jack that you use in your garage where you has a long handle floor jack.
Yeah,
Duh.
yeah.
So the floor jacks, I would always have to, when I was doing searches for a floor jack, I would have to make sure that it had a certain height, and it was never high enough. I mean, there was even situations where the floor jack needed to be up on wood blocks or have a wood block on top of the
presents
thing.
all kinds of other issues.
Oh, it's unstable. It's just it's a dumb thing to do. But what are you going to do? Oh, and I think I learned this when I was putting on sliders on my wife's TJ, and you have to take bolt the body so the sliders will go underneath those bolts. I used more than one block because even though I had a nice floor jack, it was not tall enough. So I mean, have you looked into doing floor jacks? I mean, I know it's not the off-road thing, although I guess it can be if you've got enough room.
There's a couple companies out there that do a really good job of it right now, and I think even Harbor Freight just came out with a new one. So it's a huge market, and it's not something that we have dove into yet. But I mean, as we're listening to people and we're hearing their problems, I mean, everything's on the table, right? We're here to try to make off-roading more accessible and to help people become more prepared as they go out to do their things. So I mean,
well, I mean, you can take a floor jack off-road. I mean, tying it down, which could be a whole nother thing that you could do to it. The kit, the tie-down kit.
Yeah, there's all kinds of accessories you can make work with that.
Yeah, but what you need to do on your YouTube is if you do come out with one, you need to have it pass the zip tie test. So that whatever.
What is the zip tie test?
Oh, that's when you roll it across the floor and there's a zip tie in the way and it locks up.
Gets stuck?
Yeah, it can't go over the zip tie. So.
Yeah, we did early on, and we learned a lesson. We probably shouldn't have named names, but it was early on in the company. We did a jack off.
I was trying to really stay hard away from that.
I mean, we might as well just go there because that's what you do when you're younger and you're a. Like I said, I'm not a smart person, but we compare.
But you're a hands-on dude. I can see you see this whole this goes down a whole trail.
We just grabbed a bunch of stuff and we went out to the desert and we're like, okay, what are things that happen to people? And then we just tried to go through a series of tests and be as honest as we could. And so that's out there for anyone that wants to see it.
So we had Yankum ropes on here a while back, and I couldn't stand it. I had to do up an image of the Yankum rope hand lotion. It just made sense to me. They need to sell that. Damn it.
Yeah.
That was a Jeep Talk Show $1 million idea.
Oh
yeah, absolutely. I like the ones that go, "Oh, that's just rude," and then they giggle. So there's a possibility that you guys might be doing a floor jack. Yeah. I mean, this seems to be in your bailiwick.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into the really cool ones. And I thought this was cool, and I didn't realize that you guys were the originator of the jack. What do you call it? I mean, you know, I'm talking about the cylinders.
So, you know, people that are like really good at naming things and they always say the right words. That's not us. So we just look at a thing and we're like, what is it? And so I think the one you're talking about, we just call the electric jack because it's a tube. It goes up and down. It has basically a built-in impact in it. So you plug in a drill battery. It's got a motor.
Oh, that's cool.
You pop up a switch. And it raises and lowers, and not only is it lift vehicles, change tires, all that stuff, but it's made not so much for the Jeeps, but for smaller vehicles, kind of in power sports, to roll them back under their wheels with just one person in a few minutes. Mm-hmm. So it becomes kind of a Swiss Army knife for off-road. Yeah, that one we did a number of years ago, and there's a bunch of patents around that. That I think, like you were alluding to, there's other companies that are out there kind of making stuff now. That are borrowing a little bit of that shine.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be the critical question.
Yeah.
What battery pack, what manufacturer's battery pack do you use? Is it DeWalt?
Only Ryobi. No,
Oh,
just kidding. I'm
see,
just kidding. It's
you got to fix
Milwaukee.
that.
Yeah, we offer it for Milwaukee, DeWalt, and Makita.
Oh, okay, good. So you do have different ones. Okay, because I'm thinking these people, they're going, I'd like to have that jack. I'm not buying a different battery manufacturer. I have
No, and
I have $3,000 of batteries here.
Right, and that's a whole other thing is I absolutely hate being stuck into like proprietary stuff when a company sells it and you can only buy their thing.
Yeah.
So all of our products try to be as universal as possible, and that's why we didn't try to recreate the whole thing with batteries.
You should have been like Apple and came out with a special cable, like a special battery.
Nuts. I hate that. Yeah.
So I blew by. I think I was talking when you said it. Say the manufacturer batteries that it'll use.
So the main ones. So Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita.
Okay.
And that's what we've heard the most of, both from regular users all the way through to contractors and even some military stuff we do.
So does that mean that they'll accept the one jack will accept all three, or you have to buy the jack specific to that battery?
That's a good question. So the way the jack is built is the outside portion where the battery connects to, that has to get changed. So you have to pick which one you want ahead of time.
Can you get adapters? Like maybe you changed your mind?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because people do that.
People do. So if you do, you just call us. We just send you the other one, and we've made it simple enough that it's just 5 screws and 2 connectors. You just pop the thing off, put a new one on, and you're,
that's great. Because see, that's scary, especially when you're buying an expensive jack.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I'm really married to this DeWalt or whatever.
And
so
that's the other part of it. And we have a bunch of videos on this too. Is it goes along with that being stuck in other people's ecosystems. One of the other things I hate, and I feel like I'm getting a new phone like faster and faster every year, is not being able to service the stuff.
Yes.
So every one of our products, there's videos that show you can take the thing apart, you can service it, you can repair it, you can do all this stuff on your own. You give us a call, we'll send you the parts you need. Or if that's scary, you send the stuff back to us. We also offer service here. Just try to make it as easy as possible for everyone to go have fun with confidence, experience all the freedom and all the fun that we know off-roading is.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've been listening to this right to repair that's been going on, where like Ford says you're not capable of working on this vehicle.
John Deere is one of the worst offenders that I've heard. We know a lot of guys in farmers. In farming, it's crazy.
So I think where people will draw the line, this goes back to your joke, where people will draw the line is whenever the right to jack comes out.
Get people on this. Signs in front of City Hall or something.
Sponsored by the Catholic Church.
So right to jack.
So you don't want to go down that road. All right. So anyway, so you have the electric one. I think that was cool. I want to go back to that. So it has basically, you said the drill battery inside. You just got to provide it power with the power pack that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And this is people can make their own jokes. How many jacks can you get out of one battery pack? I know it depends, but about.
I was going to say it depends.
Depends on what you're working with.
There's so many bad jokes in there, but it's for its original purpose, which is kind of UTVs and side by sides, whether they're here on the West Coast or the guys mudding or wherever. The little 2 amp hour battery, the small one that you see at Home Depot, generally you're 6 or 7 tire changes out of our Pro model, which is the premium one you're talking about with the higher price. And then later this year, we're coming out with a Sport or a more cost-effective one. And we changed the gear ratios in the motor and that. So you get like double or triple that. So you can get 10, 12, 15 uses out of it, out of a single battery, because a lot of people will fill their vehicle up before they go off-road, but they often forget to charge or fill up their battery.
Of course, yeah.
So we're trying to think ahead and make that as easy as possible.
Do you have a charger that people can charge off-road, like while they're driving around off-road? Do you have a battery charger?
Oh man, honestly, that's the first time I've heard that. What we offer is the regular chargers that you just plug into 110, just because they work so good and they're tried and true. But I mean, I'm gonna write down the trail charger and see.
And I'm thinking,
if it charges fast enough is the only thing.
right. Well, I'm thinking that the people love the buttons, so they have it. They have a special button because you don't want to charge in all the time.
No.
But if you take it off and you're going to be running a while, maybe driving to wherever you're going, you hit that button. Now it's going to be ready whenever you get to where you are, or at least charged better.
Yeah, and it's one less thing you got to do at home.
Exactly. So I think that'd be really cool. And of course, I'm sure there's other ways you could do it. You could probably monitor voltage, and then whenever it was at 13.8 or 14, the engine's running, and you can turn the charger on. So, and I don't think those things use a lot of current. So it probably wouldn't be.
It's very little unless you're doing, even when you're doing some kind of major rapid charge, it's still very little compared to other consumers in a Jeep.
Mm-hmm. So on top of the charging of the battery or batteries, which I know that DeWalt and other manufacturers make chargers, I don't know that they make mobile chargers. How do you mount this thing, especially the big hydraulic ones, especially with the motor from the drill and everything there? I imagine it's quite heavy. And not something that you want hitting you in the back of the head when you're off-road.
Yeah, it's actually the versions that we have right now, because some of the bigger stuff, we used to do really big hydraulic stuff that was in trophy trucks and all that. That stuff has since gone on because the volume is pretty low, but the current stuff is actually not that heavy. The telescopic or the trail jack style units are all under 20 pounds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we have a bolt-on mount that either bolts to a flat panel and uses almost like you've seen a snowboard binding, how it has like a strap and a buckle. I don't know if you've seen that, but I'm
in Southeast Texas. I've seen snow 3 times in my life.
You've seen it in a magazine or on the internet.
But the other people out there have, so it's hard.
So we have something called a quick clamp that you can either buy a version that mounts to a flat panel or a different style that mounts to tubes, and we have different sizes based on your roll cage. That's a bolt-on version, and then we also make weld-on versions for the guys that are building, bigger rigs or fancier stuff, or even race cars that they have a more permanent way to mount them.
Right. So now I know, and I don't think I'm telling everybody about this for the first time. I think they know, and if you don't know, you should know this. A high lift jack, you do not want to carry it around outside. A lot of people do. They do make things that you can put on there to try to keep the mechanism clean. But even at that, the high lift jacks, and they hate this when I say it or people say it. High lift jacks are dangerous, brand new. You have to know how to use it, and this is true of many things.
I would say everything, and ours to a lesser extent, because we try to lower the learning curve. But whatever you buy, even if it's high lift, and I don't want to talk too much doo-doo on them, because if they're lubricated and you know how to use them right,
they're great.
Oh my gosh, they totally have a place.
Yeah.
But you want to take whatever you get, start in the driveway, practice the thing, try in different points of your vehicle, because a lot of people that I see driving around here, there's not even a place to lift their Jeep up with their high lift. They just have it on there, and I guarantee they've never used it.
Right.
Yeah, and when you get off road, that's the worst thing, is to be in a situation where you have the stuff, but you have no idea what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there should be. I mean, 101 classes that are off-road classes are really good to do, because they can teach you those type of things and check and see if they do. Anyway, back to the high lift jack. You don't want them outside. How does that apply to your jacks? I would imagine the scissor jack isn't really a problem as far as having it in the muck.
Yeah, because at least our trail jacks are all encased. They run with an Acme thread or a drive screw inside, but it's enclosed. Mm-hmm. So they do much better outside. The scissor jacks also do better than some of the high lifts, but just like any product and your vehicle itself, you do want to still maintain these things. You want to grease them every number of cycles. And if this thing is living outside and you do any like major silt or major mud, you want to clean this thing out just like you're going to clean out the Jeep after the ride, and re-grease it like you would anything else. So
you can mount I apologize. What was the name of the $1,500 jack? The big one, the electric one?
We made it as simple as possible. That one's electric. We got a manual one, and then we got different scissors. No fancy.
So let's go with the most expensive one, because that's going to be the one that I would be most worried about. I'd be worried about theft, but getting back to the cleaning. So is it fully user serviceable, or is there a situation where you have to send it back to you guys?
It's fully user serviceable. We, instead of hiding all the hardware, which we could have done, we exposed some of the screws around the perimeter so that you're able to drop the main body. You gain access to the thread. You can grease that. And then you're able to take the motor and the gearbox off from the top, and you can grease that entire stack. The only thing that you could do yourself, but might require some custom tooling that you would come back to us for, is there's actually a clutch inside that as well. And the clutch is how we set the max pressure. That to replace the springs and stuff in the clutch is something that we'd probably do unless you're really mechanically inclined and have access to making some press tools.
Right. So people up in Michigan where they've got the salt, and it's not just Michigan, but people up in Michigan, salt and snow and ice. How does this thing work in those very, when you have a tire or you're stuck or you're going to need a jack, is going to be in the absolute worst condition possible.
It always is.
So as far as getting that thing out and working, do you have any problems like the low temps, high temps? Do you have a min and max?
Not in the temperatures that we would ever like to go off-roading in. So the grease becomes kind of the limiting factor there. And the moly grease that we switch to, I think, is something like negative 40 degrees up to it's 160 or 180. So that operating range kind of handles all the stuff that at least I don't want to go off-road in. Mm-hmm. And as far as the base, the pad on these is actually a concave design, so it kind of catches or compresses the soft material in the middle to try to make the ground a little bit more firm. So most of your sands and your dirts and even some of the more shallow like snows and stuff is no big deal. If you're getting to like really soupy mud, just like anything else, it's probably a good idea to put down a little bit bigger base. Maybe you have a piece of wood, maybe you have something. And it's not that it won't work in that. The only thing that you're doing is just by creating that platform, you're allowing yourself more of the lift to be used on the vehicle instead of getting to hard ground.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be my next question, because that's one of the things that I've learned about high lift is, and in fact, it's kind of a use of the high lift, is that you can actually jack something up and then push on the high lift or the Jeep and move it over, get it a better line. But that's unstable. And how does that handle? How do you guys handle the stability on your electric jack? Good Lord, I remembered.
Hey, you did it. Nice. So the way that we control stability is a couple-fold. One, the pad that indexes the vehicle is a little bit bigger than kind of where the high lift would hit. And it's got a rubberized surface, so it creates a little more friction than like a metal on metal. And then the base of it is actually, it pivots in one direction so that you're controlling it on one axis, and then it's a bushing, so it just has a little bit of movement in the other. Mm-hmm. And the way it works where you don't get with a high lift is a high lift jack, it is fixed. Your lift point versus where the jack itself is. One of the things that's in our patent as part of the development is the collar that's around the outside of our jack can spin 360 degrees. So we can take the base pivot that we just talked about, and we can turn it 90 degrees to the pad where we're lifting, and we can get it to rotate another direction. So you can have it rotate with the vehicle so that as you're lifting and the vehicle goes away from you, the jack kind of follows it. Or we can turn it 90 degrees.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
If the ground is starting to slip away from you, you turn it 90 degrees, and now the bushing actually fights the partially soft ground, so the jack doesn't want to slide out from under the vehicle. Mm-hmm. And so that was part of the design that came because we were trying to solve the problem instead of just building a product.
Right. So we've talked a lot about the fancy one, the electric jack. You mentioned briefly the manual jack, and I think that kind of describes it. But what's the difference between? There's a substantial price difference between the two as well. Yeah. And of course you don't need batteries, except for maybe the vibrator to massage your back when you're done with it.
Yeah. So the manual version has 50% more capacity. It's super popular at like King of the Hammers with every class of vehicle. And that's because it's so compact. It's only about 2 feet fully collapsed.
Oh, that's neat.
It runs off of an impact gun, whatever impact gun you have. Mm-hmm. It has that same collar that's fully adjustable and that same pad setup. But because it's smaller and it's a lower price point, it kind of ticks more boxes for people. And then we've gone a step further because the Pro Series stuff is really for those high-end builds, for the race cars, for the guys that need stuff done like incredibly fast and need it to work 100% of the time, no questions. We've made a sport version of that product that's more price conscious for kind of the everyday adventurer, that does 70-80% of what the big one does, but does it at a fraction of the cost. So we're trying to kind of come in where you have that, for the bigger one, you have that like 3,000 pounds of capacity. And that's not the weight of the vehicle. That's just the corner that you're having to pick up. And then the other one is a little bit lighter capacity, but at the lower price point, it still is a great buy, and it works for many of the vehicles that you guys talk about.
So looking at the manual jack Sport that you were just talking about, I think that has a really nice price point on it. And I can see people going with that because it's like, okay, that's worth getting it as much as I use it. I'm going to warn people, if you've ever done a lift on your Jeep, you're always warned that that's not the last lift you're going to do, because you're going to get it on there and then you're going to buy another one, usually because you wanted it 2 inches higher.
Yeah.
So think long and hard, and this doesn't have anything to do with the whole jack comedy thing. Think long and hard about why you shouldn't get the manual jack Pro at least. So because you could wind up going back. You could always try to sell this thing on Facebook Marketplace, I guess, but why do that? Just get the one you need to start with.
Yep, and that's what we say. It's a buy once, cry once, and then you're really thankful later.
Well, it's like any tool. I mean, winches, for example. Winches are very expensive. Everybody is quite sure they need one, even if they never use it. It's a great tool to have, and you want something. Insurance. Yeah, and you want something that's going to be well made and it's going to work whenever you go to use it. So you don't want it's kind of like a conceal or a carry weapon. You don't want to go cheap because you want to make sure it works when you need it. Same thing with this.
Yeah.
And also too, guys, don't get the silver ones. Let it be a surprise. Like they don't know what's going on until the flash goes off. You go, oh, I see your point there. But anyway, so what do you think is the best thing for a Jeeper? Would it be the Scissor jack? Like, what do you got here? The Scissor jack HD? I would assume that would be the least what you'd like to have.
I think for the majority of stuff, whether you're getting unstuck, an axle side centered, you're stacking rocks, you're changing a tire, you're doing some kind of break or some kind of repair where it doesn't require lifting the body, that would be the go-to, is the Scissor jack product. It packs small, it's not super heavy, and it's easy to store, easy to carry, and super simple to use.
Yeah, I think everybody knows how a Scissor jack works. Yeah. They've been around for decades, maybe 100 years. But if you want a little bit more, or maybe you have a little bit higher a rig, you might want to go with the Scissor jack and still be okay, or should you start looking at the manual jacks?
With 20 inches of lift, I mean, you can get to, and it depends on if you're in a hole or not, but 20 inches of lift, if we're talking about the bottom of the axle, the center line of that axle, you could have nearly a 40-inch tire and still get a tire just off the ground. So for the vast majority of people, where you're 30s, 33s, 35s, or even 37s, it's got you covered.
And I would assume you seem to be pro high lift jack. I would assume that using a combo.
Easy. I mean,
I would assume that a combo of those, that using your jack and their jack, if needed, would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, and here's the deal. If it wasn't a good product in certain applications, it also wouldn't be around. It's been around, like you said, with scissors. It's the same. It's been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And it has a bunch of uses, but like we're talking about this whole time, just like everything else, you got to keep it lubed and you got to know what you're doing.
Right.
You got to keep it lubed and you got to know what you're doing.
And pay attention to where you're aiming is the other thing.
Yeah. Don't want to catch one in the eye.
But I mean, you obviously have products here that you don't need a high lift jack. But I'm just going down the road like pretty much everybody has a high lift jack, and it's not a bad thing to have more than one device to help you in a situation. And I personally think that I can see situations that you might need more than one jack. I mean, like two of the manual Jack Pros. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you could always blow both tires, or be in a situation where you need to
That'd be
lift,
bad, yeah.
or where you need the situation where you really need to get the back end or the front end up and over something. So
in the crew that you're going out with, are you guys all just high lifts, or do you guys carry multiples, or does everyone have like different things to kind of help each other?
I only ever see high lifts, and
Okay.
fortunately, we don't even have to use those. We made fun of one guy because he got the 6-foot high lift, and I told him he needs to put a flag on that thing.
Yeah, it's to help airplanes spot your crew while they're flying over.
Great place to mount the Starlink.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other thing, and you probably saw this coming. I know our viewers do. The only problem that I see with your jacks is you got the wrong color. It needs to be red.
So, and that's funny because we actually the very first product we had was, because high lifts, for all the awesome, they're just so heavy. The first product that we made was an aluminum bar that replaced the steel one. And it was fancy. It had all kinds of stainless steel like slides on it and stuff, because somehow the high lift jack works is it actually loads the mechanism sideways in addition to the pins. And we made those in red and blue and like all these different colors. And we're like, man, people are going to be buying the red and they're going to be buying the blue, right? Because we're all patriotic. Yeah. The black's the only one that sold.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with T-shirts. The few times that we've done T-shirts, everybody wanted black. And I'm going, you know how hot the black gets?
Well, I mean, I guess I can't talk, but...
well, it's a popular color. You're doing exactly the right thing.
Yeah, it was the most popular color. And from not that this is kind of boring, but from a manufacturing standpoint, it's also the most repeatable color. So batch to batch to batch, it stays the most consistent.
Right.
The downside is when it's on the car, no one knows the thing exists. So we get like zero marketing from photos of cars going by.
Well, the thing they don't understand is, especially with these, if it's red for Christmas, you just get white tape, and now you got a candy cane.
I'm writing it down.
The candy cane kit.
Candy cane jacks, done.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so gosh, I think we've beat this thing to death. It's a really interesting product. I love and I did not know. I mean, I asked you before we started recording about if this is something that you had made for other people, and you already mentioned about some patent infringements. And that's the downside to patents. You go through all that trouble of getting a patent, and then you can't just say, I got a patent. You need to stop that. I mean, you can, but unless you're willing to go to court, unless you're willing to go to court and spend $50,000 to $100,000, it doesn't mean.
Yep, and I mean, we still would have got the patents we got, but I wish someone would have told me that early on. Is it's only worth the time and money you're going to use to enforce the dang thing.
Right. Well, it's like. Okay. Yeah, it's like I tell people here, anybody can do a podcast. Anybody can do a show like we do. And if you're doing a better one, more power to you. It's up to us to have the show that's better than the rest. And I think that's the same thing you have here. It's like, okay, but other people are making this jack, but they're not making the original jack, the one that they're.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of that too is I've come to the realization that like we're not lighting the world on fire. It's products that, although they have very unique features about them and they are patented, at the end of the day, it essentially does the same thing. So where we really try to shine is the customer service, the support, and the network of education, the videos, the how-tos, the which one is it that you need, you're on the trail and you have an issue, give us a call, okay? And a lot of times we're even answering questions and doing things for people that have nothing to do with our products, because the real moat is in making sure that people can get out there, they can have fun, they can explore, and they're doing it safely. So that's kind of where we aim. Yeah,
they shouldn't give a second thought to what if, because they've got it covered. Yeah, that's what they've got. It's
always in the back of your mind. You're not having a good day, and I think we're all out there to have fun, to get away, to remember who we are, to kind of be in our happy spot, and just to enjoy life.
And coming soon, you won't even have to worry about the battery being charged.
Yeah, right. And there'll be a candy cane one for Christmas.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. That probably is a Jeep Talk Show $1 million idea. I've used that one before though, but it's round. It looks like a candy cane. Absolutely. Oh, you could come up with the little curve over thing that goes at the top of the candy cane.
Oh, the handle part.
Yeah, that fits on there. All right. So, you know how the kids love the social media. Where can people find you on social media? I know we've talked about the website, agm-products.com.
Yep.
You've mentioned that you're on YouTube. I know you're on Instagram because we followed you guys today.
Yeah, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. The handle is AGM Products. Facebook is still a holdover. It's all German Motorsports is the handle. Yeah, so those are the places you can find us.
And I think everybody was clear on this, but this isn't a Jeep only product. This is a product.
No,
anything.
It actually started as race car products because that was our life for the longest time. Whether it was King of the Hammers, Dakar, Baja, Rally, and then it slowly made its way into power sports. And now we're starting to kind of pick up more into the Jeep world and get to that market. So I'm super excited. We'd love to hear any other product ideas anybody has, any stuff you guys have, so we can go out and solve the next problem.
Excellent. And is it AGM Products on all the social media?
The guy will not sell the website without the dash, so we're stuck with the dash.
There's no way in hell you're getting AGM. The 3-letter domains are long.
So if you're the guy with the AGMProducts.com website listening, please call us. We want to get rid of this dash.
Are you saying there may be a jack in it for him?
There could be a couple. I mean, we're willing to work a deal. We can make it a candy cane jack. So.
All right. Well, that's great. I really appreciate your time today. And you need to go see if you can find your cousin Bob Lyttle. We'll have a family reunion. My old neighbor. Thank you so much for your time today. I think you got a great product. I mean,
thank you very much.
When I first saw this,
thank you for having me, Tony.
Yeah, when I first saw the jacks, the ones where you don't have to do anything except press a button.
Yep.
I was like, oh, holy, this is nice. And
I found out it's not. This is the whole thing.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's wonderful. And the nice thing is that you can still get the same jack manual and use the impact wrench, the screwdriver that you already have. Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah. So and then save a little money. But I think the electric one would really be cool.
I'm so glad. And we'll keep building out that line. And now that it sounds like that's the direction, I mean, we'll focus a little bit more over there too.
I am so glad you didn't say, nope, the only battery that fits is the one that we make.
Oh my God, I hate that. I went with Ryobi, but I mean, no shade to all the people that are Home Depot fans, but yeah, we stick with the big three.
Well, you don't always know when you get the first tool, and then you get the first tool and you go, oh, this is really nice. The battery lasts a long time. I could use, I'd like to have this Sawzall or whatever. And then you go, oh crap, I can't get this other brand that's on sale.
Yeah.
Because
that's where we're at. We have, and I'm sure lots of people are the same way. I'm looking outside. We bought a rack because we have so many batteries. We're in Milwaukee here.
Yeah.
So we're red.
All right.
I'm looking at, I don't know, 20 batteries just sitting, waiting to be used, not including the ones that are on the chargers next to it. So this stuff already exists.
As an owner, you don't see the batteries. You see $25,000. Yeah.
It's just better not to talk about that.
Well, it costs to get things done. It sounds like you guys are doing a great
100%.
job.
Yep.
So agm-products.com, go check it out. And if you buy a product or had bought a product, comment down below, whether you're in YouTube or on your podcast, your favorite podcast player. I appreciate your time, and you guys have a great day. If you come out with something new or there's a change to something you'd like to get back on the show and tell our viewers or listeners about, love to have you back.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see everybody soon.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.
This is what it's all about. Yeah. Join the Jeep Talk Show community. Woo! Best community ever.